So I wanted to do a quick video. I had some questions from people who had followed our guide on how to set up Google My Business, and I decided that I would do a quick video on actually walking you through this so you get a visual in addition to the actual documentation. So just for reference, when we're talking about Google My Business, we are talking about what we see here on the screen. Veral Health Naturopathic Care is my naturopath, and when I type her in directly into the search bar, this image on the right hand side is pulling from her Google My Business. Now, if I had just gone naturopathic Vernon, she won't show up. But down here we have something called the 3-pack, and this is where it's pulling from. It's pulling from Google My Business. So if you don't have Google My Business set up, you'll never show up in the 3-pack. And the click-through rates in the 3-pack are astronomical compared to anything down below. So even though she, in this case, is number one in the search results, actually we call this number 4 because this is number 1. She still is number 1, so she's great. So the click-through rates in position 1 through 3. Now this is a document by Backlinko. He is one of the leading researchers and experts when it comes to SEO. And as you can see in this image, the click-through rate for positions 1 through 10 is where the majority of the clicks have. If you're in position 10 through less, the click-through rate is almost minimal. 37% will click on the first spot, and then it drops from there pretty consistently. Second page and beyond, like this is a lot of detail, so I won't go into it, but the results, the key summary of their findings is the number 1 response spot gets 31% of the clicks. That is huge. So that's the spot. So when someone lands on the page, if there's say 100 people searching per month, she will get approximately 31 clicks just because she's in spot number 1, and then it goes down from there. So being in this 3-pack and at the top of the page is super important to drive your, when we're talking about SEO, we'll talk about rankings, but ultimately that leads to organic traffic in your analytics, which is our end KPI that we monitor, and it starts by your rankings. So hopefully that makes sense. Now to do this, you go to google.com.business. You're going to have to create a Gmail account in order to sign in. If you don't have one, if you already have one, great, just sign in using your Gmail. So you would just sign in. Now, so I went incognito here just so it doesn't bring up all my browser history. So you would go manage now. You would sign in, and then it's going to take you through add a new business. I would go in here and you can find your business name. So I'm just trying to think of something a little bit out of the ordinary. This is my neighbor, so she's not showing up because I happen to know she never completed her registration. So if you can't find your business, you're going to just follow the steps, and you're just going to follow the steps. Now it's going to be different for each individual location. Some of you may start typing in your business name and find that you already have a Google My Business set up, but you have no way to access it. Then there is a way for you to go and request authorization for ownership. That's a completely different ball game. I'm not going to touch it on this video, but there is a way to claim ownership of a Google My Business that's already been set up for your business through Google. And usually the situation that arises is either a marketing agency has set it up for you, or an employee who no longer works for you has set it up and you don't have login access. So just follow the steps and go from there, and then you'll get it set up. Once you're in there, Of course, now I have to go into. Once you have it set up, it's going to look like this, and this can be overwhelming. Like, it's just a lot of information. So um, you can ignore all this, but you want to start first with info and go through the guide and optimize and fill out everything in here. Um, Forget about the advertising, that's a whole nother thing, but all this information you need to get filled out, right? You don't need to worry about the advanced information. That's not going to affect your rankings, but you need as much information in here as filled out. Now, you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to add some photos. This is really, really important. So that's where the photos are. You can add videos. Ignore the website. This is not your website. This is the Google website. So you don't want to be using this. It's not, it's their internal website that they're making for you, and now it's giving me all these pop-ups, which is really annoying. So, but the biggest thing you want to do is update the info, and you want to make sure you add your photos. If you have products, you can go ahead and add products, but that's almost secondary. Again, follow the doc, the guide, and in order to fill this all out. And then once you actually start getting some info, you can come into insights, and the data start to be popular. There it is, just taking a while to load, and the data will start to populate once you got it up there. So there's lots of variables that will happen once you have your Google My Business set up, including competition, which categories you pick. Try to pick as many categories as possible. So that's in the service area. In order to do that. But for the most part, the most important thing you need is just to be set up. Once you do this, you will automatically be viewed on Google Maps. So if we go back here and go, once upon a time, Google Maps was separate from Google My Places, and then they merged them into Google My Business. But once you're in there, you will actually be found on Google Maps. So naturopath in Vernon, and of course it's taking forever, and there's all of our naturopaths. If I do marketing agency North Okanagan, of course, let me zoom out. I'm actually number 1. Now part of that is because it knows my location. So it knows my IP, and it knows that this is the closest to that, but I am there. So that hopefully gives you a better understanding and a visual on how to set up my Google My Business, and helps you get found on Google Maps.